All right. Peace and love, fam. Peace and love. It's Moreno Bey. Um, man, I just found out some crazy information that I didn't even know uh, was happening over years ago. I really just found out. Uh, it's just the way how the court system helped divide families, especially between the quote unquote black families. All right. Um, it's crazy, man. I've just spoken to my ex-wife, and she was telling me how years ago, how she was served with papers to appear in court um, via our divorce on paper. And during that time, I had just come into, my Moorish nationality, maybe like a year or two before. And I was still doing an abundance of studying, and I didn't handle it the way she wanted me to handle it because, of course, she's incompetent. She know nothing about Moorish nationality. It was crazy. All right. So, but again, just a long story short, we finally just been able to communicate about this after so many years, and I didn't know this. She was telling me how um, she was served to come to court, and she appeared in court, and they were trying to arrest her, or at least that's what the acting team within that court was attempting to seem like they were to do to her. And she basically was like, what are you doing? Like, what did I do? What are you talking about? Basically they were harassing her because of the constant lawsuits and filing of bonds and international criminal charges I placed on them um, during the time that she actually went to court. All right. Because I was enforcing around that time. So they were using a scare tactic on her. And also, it helps divide the family because, of course, at that time, she was afraid. She didn't know what was going on. And I assured her that it was nothing. But I understood that it was an issue. I understood that it was an issue and it was going to take time to decipher on her end. All right. So I basically explained to her in detail, you know, well, somewhat in detail, what it is, what information I'm on. I just, we just finally been able to have a conversation about it. And I think that was wonderful that we finally talked about it. And I didn't know she was going through the hell that she was going through. She claimed that they were coming to her mom's house. Peace, fam. I'm back. I'm back. But yeah, back to what I was saying earlier about how the courts. I had to pause the video. A few things went on, but back to I was talking about earlier about the courts and how they divide the families up. But long story short, my ex-wife, we finally been able to communicate about, a few things that she just didn't understand. And me myself, I'm a very patient person, and that comes from just it's a learned behavior. That comes from just discipline myself because I didn't come up with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I always knew that things would get better. And it just took time. And the same thing um, has taken place with my ex-wife and myself. We finally been able to have a cordial sit down adult talk about what happened. This was years ago. There's nothing now, I mean, where we talked presently, but the situation is years ago. And she basically was breaking down why she was afraid to have my daughter around me during a certain point of time. Because again, and I listened to her. I listened to her. Again, she didn't understand what was going on. She had no idea what was going on. And I heard her out, and I understood this. I understood this because if you walk in a courtroom and someone's telling you that they're they're basically threatening to arrest you, and they're harassing you as if they're about to arrest you for no reason because of something your ex-husband is involved with, which is Moorish birthrights and nationality enforcing law. Of course, she didn't understand that, but that's not what they explained to her. What they explained to her is they said, "Oh, you don't know what he's into?" And she was like, "What are you talking about? Because we're not together. We're separated. We've been separated for years." Well, okay, let us tell you. So they gave her this entire tutorial about sovereign citizens, and there's not one video on my YouTube channel where I refer to myself as a sovereign citizen. Never have. Always a Moorish American national or an American or simply Moor. Okay, but they went into this whole thing about, well, they don't believe, the same old BS about, well, they don't believe in this, they don't believe in that. Haven't you heard about the Oklahoma City bombing? He was a sovereign citizen. And they were comparing, which is very unfortunate, but it's funny at the same time, that they was comparing a Moorish American national, which is myself, an indigenous aboriginal to the Americas, to a foreign European that allegedly blew up the federal building in what they call Oklahoma City. All right. And can you imagine a person that's incompetent hearing this? So now I can understand why she was distant to a certain degree during that period of time with my child, and I was letting her know that, well, they were harassing you because I was giving it to them. And I had to break down a few things and let her know that I was giving it to them during that particular time. And it's a mind psychic, it's a psychic attack. Okay. This is how they divide the families, because they know that she's incompetent. They know that she would be afraid. So therefore, well, let me just keep the child away from him for a minute until I can figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, the child is growing up, not understanding what's going on. The child goes online and say, "Oh, my dad changed his name. What's going on?" Okay. So it's just confusing. So I say to all mothers, I say to all fathers, teach your children. Don't allow. Now, I know a lot of us have to have our children in their educational system, but get to the point where you teach them as well, or eventually take them out. All right, because it's a beast. It's a beast. All right. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Ignorance of knowing your nationality, it's not an excuse. Okay. And so, I mean, but now, to the point where, because I have an older daughter. I remember years ago they used to flash my picture on the news. You gotta have thick skin for this. And I would tell my daughter, she asked me one time, she was like, "Dad, I saw you on the news." And I was like, "Oh, you did? When?" And she was like, "They was, you on channel 3 or channel 5 or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I said, "What did I say?" And she was like, "What do you mean, Dad?" And I was like, "What did I say?" You said you saw me. I didn't say you said it. Well, you didn't say anything. I said, "Well, you didn't see me." She said, "Well, I saw your picture." I said, "Well, what did I say again?" And she was like, "Well, they were saying," I said, "Who was they?" And she was like, "The news." I was like, "Did you see the news?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "My whole point is, if you didn't see me talking physically, or if I didn't tell you, you didn't hear it." Basically, I was breaking down hearsay information. All right. I had to break down that hearsay information is it's not admissible. Okay. It's just shit that people say. Okay. So that's basically what I was trying to explain to my ex-wife as well, that it's all hearsay. And I always ask my children, how you doing? How are people treating you, in the world? I make them think. I ask because I have daughters, sons too, but I have daughters, and I'm always asking them, has anybody done anything? Or are you all right? Just kind of, keep that communication open. They always tell me, "Yeah, Dad, everything's good. Nobody's bothering me." I'm like, "Okay, okay. How am I treating you? Am I being a good dad?" Or, they laugh about it. I'm like, "Yeah, you're good. I mean, have I ever done anything wrong?" "No." Okay, that's my point. So my point is, if you see some madness like this on the news, or someone's telling you something and you haven't got it from the source, you didn't get it. That's my point. So this is what I explained to my ex-wife, that you really didn't get true information. What you got was like a sideshow at a circus. You got an act. I didn't go into any details because it's just too much. It's just way too much. I didn't go into any details, but I just basically told her, look, if it was anything that I've done wrong, I would be in prison. Okay? I'm not in jail anywhere. I'm living good. As a matter of fact, this is probably, since I've been on Moorish nationality, this has probably been the best times of my life. Like, seriously, like, it's been like the best of my life, like I can't even explain it, like my mind has opened up, and following the teachings of Prophet Noble Ali have just brought me to a state of mind that's just up here. All right. So the confusion that the media and the courts have to disperse to the people is just pure nonsense. Pure nonsense. Just pure nonsense. Don't entertain it. Don't entertain it whatsoever. Do not entertain it. Take it like a grain of salt. Keep moving. All right. And they know who stands on their square. All right. This is why they use so many different tactics to see what is your breaking point. Okay. I don't have a breaking point, because even if I was to transition or someone was to do something to me, the message lives on. It lives on. So it can be hard sometimes trying to get this information to your loved ones and trying to get them to understand, but it's not an overnight thing. Sometimes you just kind of gotta, it's mainly about living as how you speak things. You gotta speak a certain way, and you have to live it. You gotta live by example. Your actions gotta speak it, and my actions speak it. So the whole point is, they would, according to her, she was being harassed for like a couple of years, a few years. And meanwhile, I'm sitting back enjoying life while they're feeding her straight garbage. Straight garbage. So this video was just to basically make you think. And then I also thought about how they try to intertwine Islam with just being straight religious. Now, for example, something like this. When you see something like this, the Holy Quran, right? You would look at this as, basically just a religious text. But it's dealing with, values, morals, principles, things of that nature. But my point is that the Christians and Muslims have been warring with each other for centuries. Like we just been warring with each other, and the war is still in effect now. All right. So the thing about the Islam thing, I spoke earlier to someone, and we spoke about how they try to paint Islam as this just horrible thing. They put things in the news with guys on pickup trucks shooting and bombing and stuff that has nothing to do with anything. It could be staged acts for all we know, because no one can honestly say that anyone in the Americas, like broadly on a mass term, that someone of Islamic faith has done anything to them. Just think about it. If you did statistics and just ask 1,000 people, one at a time, if you were to say, name the nationality or name the ethnicity or race of a person that has done some injury to you, this answer you might get. I'm holding the mic. Now picture this. I'm holding the mic. Now what I want you to do, John Doe, I want you to name the race of people that has injured you the most. Now picture I'm asking a so-called white person or European this. They might, and not being biased and telling them to be truthful, because this is just a truthful show. They might say their own kind. They might say their dad molested them. They may say a black person did this. They may say a Chinaman did this, etc. Now, meanwhile, let's ask a quote-unquote black person the same question. if you were to say, if anyone's injured you your entire life, who would you say, what race of people has injured you mostly your entire life? And give that so-called black person a chance to answer. Hand the microphone to them. They would probably say their family or white people. If you would ask 1,000 people that, they would probably say that. You cannot honestly say someone of Islamic faith, especially from a foreign land that came into the Americas, done anything to you. Now, they paint this picture of people of Islamic faith that like they're doing something bad to people, right? But you got to remember, over 90% of the gas stations in North America are ran by quote unquote Arabs of Islamic faith. All right, that's controlling all the gasoline that can blow up anything. All right, so now we got to think. We got to think. All right, we got to think. If this is true, why would you allow this? Why would you do business with it, people? See, people don't think. The media thinks for you. The media is for incompetent people. Okay? It's for incompetent people. That's what the media is for. If you ever get a chance, on a day that you can take some backlash, you can take some, BS in your life and you're just ready for it, just watch the news and write down what you have seen and witnessed on the news. Most of the time it starts off like this. 2 murders found in Memphis, Tennessee on this day, this, that, that. The suspect took off running. It starts off like that. All right. Just, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. I don't watch the news, but when I view it or have viewed it, this is what I see. Okay. It's never any solid proof or anything. It's just all allegations, just hearsay information. It's bullshit. All right. It's bullshit. So the thing is, people, you got to think for yourself. Stop letting people think for you. You have a brain. Use your brain. Don't use their brain. Use your brain. And that's just real talk. It's real talk. We on a mission, and we got to get these children on this Moorish nationality and birthrights. And it's very hard to do, especially with the mothers that's being controlled by the European colonizers via the court system, welfare, just all of the assistance that the state provide for the quote unquote, black mothers. Think about it. So that goes back to the Willie Lynch letter. It goes back to that, of the division of the family, the psychological abuse that creates the division. All right, it goes back to that. And some people try to debate whether the letter was real or not, but the paradigm is real. The ideology is real. It doesn't matter if a physical, someone wrote it, someone thought it. So it really doesn't matter if it was an actual letter. You got to go deep with it. The ideology is real. It's real. And again, meanwhile, out of all of this harassment that she claimed that she was receiving by quote unquote authorities, I'm sitting back chilling. Never left the territory, doing what I do on a regular basis, as you see me demonstrating in my videos. Okay. So when you hitting them hard, I hit them hard. Lately I haven't had to hit them hard because they pretty much respect what I do now. And they see that I'm just one of those dudes that, I'm respectful. I come in love. And I'm just going to stand on mine. It's just that on that. It ain't got nothing to do with punking people out. None of that. It's principles. It's values and morals to this. And I stand on it very strongly. Very strongly. Very strongly. So the family structure has to be there. I made a vow years ago that I was gonna be a righteous person and I was gonna do the best that I can in life. And ever since I made that vow, almost 10 years ago now, this is what I've been doing. I've been actually living that life. I've been really living that life. Any mistakes that I made prior to or during, I fessed up to it and kept moving. Kept moving and continuing to be the person that I am in my heart, and that's a righteous person, very righteous person. And at least that's what I'm trying anyway, because I'm not for trying to be this person to deceive people. Uh, it'll come out. It'll come out. It'll come out. Your actions speak louder than words. It'll come out. You got all these fast talking YouTuber guys that speak all of this nonsense, and these guys are just straight crooks, con artists. All right, it came out on Polite. It came out on plenty of these brothers. It come out on these brothers. You know, they can't dodge it. It came out on Sinetta. It came out on Tahaka Bay. It come out on Lord Albert. And the only reason I'm saying their name now is because it is what it is. I'm pointing them out for it. It's coming out on them like that. This is these guys' life. Like now we know this is the life that they live, and this is what they do. Like they're not trying to change anything. This is what they do. All right. And this is not only a religious movement, connotatively speaking. It's not just a religious movement. It really irks me when these guys, all they talk about is Prophet Noble Ali. Like, honestly, that kind of irks me. That's it. When Prophet Noble Ali told us to study, 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 like, that's crazy to me. Just like we don't dick ride Taj, we don't dick ride Prophet Noble Ali. We honor Prophet Noble Ali for bringing this information in this day and time. And we honor, of course, Taj and anyone else that's bringing it with that type of heart to the people. But the dick riding, no, none of that. A person by their actions. Like some people want to be stars out here on certain information. I just like putting out information. Then you got some cowards that don't show their faces. They wanna act like they know something and speak something of truth, but they're hiding behind a thumbnail or some type of YouTube screen name or Facebook name or something. Show your face. Be a man. Don't be a coward. That's why I never argue with faceless people. I never argue with them. I don't. That's my opinion. I don't argue with faceless people because I don't see anything. I've had several people online to try to defame my name. But one thing I can respect about them, they show their faces. Because at the end of the day, the beginning of my life and my adulthood, I was in the streets. And street guys, they don't respect no motherfucker that's walking around, you hearing shit but you ain't seeing shit. Show your face. Show what you really about. Show it. Like physically show your face. That's why I say these guys are cowards. Again, I can respect you. You can talk about me all day, but I can respect you if you show your face. Because you better believe if we run into each other in public, you better believe if I see you and you got anything to say about me, I'm going to step to you and I'm going to address you one-on-one, man to man. And that don't necessarily mean that it's going to get violent, but I'm going to address the situation. Because now you've created a certain tone, and since we have now locked eyes physically, we can speak about it as men. We can speak about it now. So that's why I don't really like that. That's why I always stress that I really don't really play that game with that back and forth stuff. But I will check some people. I will check some people now. Don't get it twisted. I'll check you. I'll pull out my tools and my study skills and show you where I'm at if need be. But I really don't like the back and forth thing because again, I come from that street era, and that street era is still kind of embedded in me where it's not all that back and forth, blah, 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 they talking and shit. You know, that's why when I do enforce law on these foreign Europeans and their Negroes and their corporations, I don't like going back and forth with them. I go ahead and put my discovery in, I default them, and I move forward. I'm not going to sit here and argue with them back and forth. Well, no, that's a real error. No, see, they bullshitting. While I'm doing that, they trying to come find me and lock me up. So I go again, I put my discovery in, I default them, tell them to cease and desist. If they don't, I go ahead and go after their bonds. I don't fuck around with them. I just go ahead and get them. You know, boom. Like, next story, let's go to the next page. So I really don't believe in all that back and forth stuff. You know, like, boom, back and forth, back and forth. Well, he said this, now I'm saying that he's saying that's bullshit to me. You know? So, but just know, if you talking greasy and slimy about me, it's a good chance I probably heard you, but just know that if we cross paths, I will address you personally as a man. And I get around. I get around, so I get around. I got ties all over. And again, that's not a threat. That's just being a man about it. That's being a man about it. So the games can be played with some people, and then some people just don't play games. I fall in that category that guys just don't really like playing the games. You know, that's just the cloth I'm cut from. All right, games where I come from, and not just Memphis. It's a lot of different cities, but playing games where I'm from get you fucked up, get you killed. And that's why I don't really play games like that, because I value my physical life in its existence. I don't slick talk either. If you go into all of my videos, I don't slick talk. I'll directly address you. Sometimes I'll indirectly address you so hard where you know it's you, where I'm getting you up here, but it's in a respectful, intelligent tone. Okay. It'll be more academically, not on violent, shoot 'em up, boom, boom, bam, bam, all that. Never that, you know. So we supposed to come out of that lower nature of thinking and feeling. We supposed to come out of that. We supposed to rise up out of that and rise to that higher ascension. That's why some Moors got it and some Moors don't. If you can't discipline yourself, you don't got it. You call yourself a Moor and you still out here doing certain things, or not just a Moor. If you call yourself conscious, quote unquote, the term they like to throw around, conscious, and you out here doing certain things, you you got to rethink it. You got to rethink yourself. I've seen brothers, come at my brother Cujo, and the way they came at my brother Cujo wasn't just all the way right, And I'm gonna end it off on that talk,